I'm going to actually record this just in case somebody has an interest in it other than you guys. All right, so the first question throws a bunch of three-dimensional figures out here, and it says select which ones are prisms. And we can remember that a prism, by definition, is a polygon, so it's got flat edges and more than two sides, that has been copied and pasted and like dragged up to make another shape so that the two polygon bases are congruent and parallel. So here A, I can see a square here and a square here, and then all the faces are rectangles or squares, so that's going to fly. This one is, it's got one polygon base and a bunch of triangles. That can't be right because my sides, my faces, have to be rectangles, so that's not a prism. Here's another one. It's okay to have one that's not a rectangle, but I can't have this many that aren't rectangles. This one doesn't have any bases, so it doesn't count. This one's got a rectangular base, but there's not a parallel one on top. Oh, it's sideways. The triangle is my base. Here's another copy of that triangle that's congruent and parallel. And then all the other sides are rectangles. So this one is a prism. Again, here's the side that's not a rectangle, so that would have to be a base. And if I've got two of them that are congruent and parallel, and all the faces are then rectangles. So that works. There's too many triangles. You can only have two things like that. Here, my bases are neither polygons nor congruent, so that would not work. So this is not one. So mine only has three. Any questions on number one? Okay. Number two, given the prism below, identify the color of the face that must be considered the base. So again, bases can be any shape polygon, triangles, four-sided figures, quadrilaterals, five-sided figures, six-sided, anything. But the faces, the non-bases, must be rectangles. So if you have a shape that's not a rectangle, that can only be the base. So in this case, my triangle here is my base. Any questions on that? Number three. This is a right rectangular-based prism. And it's going to tell me that this green face is the base. And it tells me the length and the width and the height. So now I need to find the surface area. So this is one of the problems that we're going to do. And I'm going to stop sharing the screen here so that I can use my document camera to show this. There we go. Okay, so what we've got is P equals, H equals, B equals, and that will let us do LA, SA, and vol. Now, each of you is going to have not only different numbers that go in here, but also you're going to be asked different questions. So for instance, mine is asking for the surface area. Sophia, what's yours asking for?
The surface area.
Okay, good. Brianna, what's yours asking for?
Surface area.
Wow. Mikayla, what's yours asking for?
I'm not on the right one.
Okay, I want to wait for you then. Can you share your screen for me, please?
Yeah.
Let me see if I can, yeah. Okay, good. So attempt quiz now.
Oh, this is the right one.
No, that's circle. I'm sorry. No, I see what you're saying. Okay, you see up above where it says Unit 10 circles? It's in what's called the breadcrumbs. Yeah, exactly. A little bit to the left and a little higher. There, click on there. And now you're going to be at the circles. And so up on the top left, see where it says Unit 9B, there you go, trig. No, we don't want that. We want to go forward. Sorry, we want to do surface area. So go down to the right where it says Unit 10 Good, and then leave your cursor there and just about the same. Now click on unit 11, SAB. That's what we want. Scroll down to the bottom. That's it. 3D area volume test, 3rd and 7th periods. Attempt quiz now. Okay, so, okay. You can just move forward to 3 and then go back and do those other ones in a minute. So let me just draw my shape. So I've got the numbers here. This is the length, which is 2.7. This is the width, which is 1.9. And the height is 7.5. Okay, each of you has different numbers, of course. But in my case, I've got a length of 2.7 and a width of 1.9 and a height of 7. This first thing is my P. What does the P stand for? If you're unsure, the notes page that I suggested you have out has these described. It says P equals the perimeter of the base. It's all about the base. So this is what it said my base is. So if I want the perimeter, I got to go around the outside of my base. So if this part is 2.7, then so is this. If this is 1.9, then so is this. This side is the same as that. So that's another 2.7. And that's another 1.9. So really, I just have to add up 2 of the lengths plus 2 of the widths, and that's going to be my perimeter. So in my case, it's 2.7 plus 1.9 plus 2.7 plus 1.9 equals. Your numbers will be different, but it's the same process. It's 9.2, and you just leave that alone there for a minute. Everyone got your perimeter? I shouldn't ask it that way. Does anybody need help finding their perimeter? Okay. So now we're going to look for height. And what height means is the distance between the two bases. So that's this number that was given to us as height. In my case, it's given as 7.5, but again, you'll have a different number. And then what does the B stand for? Look at the note sheet. It tells you it's the area of the base. And this is what makes this whole unit challenging, is we're grouping these all together to say they're all prisms. But then we say we have to find the area of the base. And depending on what shape it is, there's different formulas. That's why, again, this sheet's so important, because depending on what shape we're talking about, the formula is different. So these shapes, this base is what shape? Just looking at the two-dimensional shape now. It said it was a right rectangular shape. So how do you find the area of a rectangle?
You just multiply those together.
Yeah, length times width, right? So it's going to be 2.7 times 1.9. Again, you'll have different numbers. Anybody need help with getting one of those 3 numbers? This is the way we start every one of these problems. Find these beginning parts, and then we can plug them into the formulas for these. So now for a prism, we can see in this thing that the prism's formula, lateral area is P times H. Surface area is that lateral area plus another 2 bases, and the volume is equal to base times height. So we'll just plug those in. P times H, LA plus 2B, and B times H. Since we're looking for surface area, I really only need to do this one, but it requires me to do lateral area to do this one, so let's do this first one. Lateral area is P times H. Well, here's my P, and here's my H. So in my case, it's going to be 9.2 times 7.5. You'll have different numbers here, but they're the numbers you calculated up here. My case comes out to 69.0. Anyone having trouble finding their lateral area? Okay, so to find our surface area, we're just going to take that same lateral area we just found, plus 2, whatever these bases are, because that's the area of the base, and this shape has 1 up top and 1 down below. So I'm going to take my lateral area plus 2 bases. And then I'll just put it in my calculator and say 69 plus 2 times 5.13. That's my answer. Any questions? Okay, so I'm going to go back to sharing my screen so that I can. My answer was 79.26. Now I've got a right cylinder. Okay, so I'm going to draw a little picture for myself. And I need my radius, which was 3.5, and my height, which is 2.3, and we're finding the volume. So I'm going to come back to my sheet here. Starts the same way. P equals, H equals, E equals, LA equals, SA equals, and VOL equals. We can do a little bit of saving the time. Did you guys have volume as yours, or is yours lateral area, surface area? What about you, Sophia?
Mine is surface area.
Okay, Brianna, what's yours?
I got volume.
Okay, and Kyla?
Surface area.
Okay, so we got some different answers here, but it's the same thing. And the same formulas are going to apply for this cylinder as did for the, my sheet, the other prisms. Even though a cylinder is not a prism, it has the same formula. These two columns here are the same. P times H, P times H. This is cylinders, this is prisms. LA plus 2B, LA plus 2B. P times H, P times H. So these two figures can be treated the same, except that the bases are different shapes. So when I want to find the perimeter of this shape, what do we call this shape? Circle. So if I want to find the perimeter of the shape, what's our formula? If you don't know, that's again what's on this sheet. It's called a circumference, or you can say P equals 2 pi r. So here we're going to say 2 pi r. Since our r was 3.5, we'll say 2 times pi times 3.5, which is 7 pi. I'm going to leave it like that. That's the precise value, so I don't have to worry about losing anything in the rounding. What's our h? No, that's
2.3.
good. It's the height between the two bases. So in this case, it's marked as 2.3. That capital B here stands for the area of the base. This time I'm looking for the area of a circle. So whereas last time we drew out a rectangle to do this, because that was the area we're looking for, this time we're looking for a circle. And when I do a circle, the way I find the area is pi r squared. So my area here will be pi times, in my case, 3.5 squared. You guys will have a different number. radius, 3.5 squared. So I'm going to get 12.25 pi. Okay, does everybody have P, H, and B? Okay, so now we go back to these formulas. These are the 3D formulas now, these ones that down here, LA, SA, and vol. P times H, LA plus 2B, and B times H. So the lateral area is the P times the H, so 7 pi times 2.3. In my case would be 16.1 pi, but this wants it to be in decimals, so I'm going to multiply that times the pi button, 16.1 times the pi button, and I get approximately 50.58. Give me a moment for everybody to find the lateral area. Any questions on this? So to find the surface area, we're going to take what we just found and add to it 2 of the bases. 12.25 times 2 is 24.5. And so when I plug that into a calculator, adding on 24.5 times pi, I get an approximate total of 127.55. For some of you, that's your solution. We're going to continue anyway. Last one is the base times the height. B times H. So in this case, I've got that base times that height. So 12.25 pi times 2.3. Plug that all in. 12.25 pi times 2.3. And I'm going to get 88.51. That's my volume. We'll go back and just plug this in. Anybody still looking at this?
Yeah.
You are? Okay. And if you're interested, if you feel like this is going too fast for you and you want to like take a screen capture this, again, I'm recording it and I'll make it available. But if you want to take a screen capture this for later use, that's fine. Go back to my quiz so that I can enter that score in. It was 88.51. Volume. Yep, volume. Is anybody not ready to move on to 5 yet? Okay, good. So this is a two-dimensional question. It's just asking for you to find the area of a regular hexagon. And although the formula we learned based on all regular polygons is 1/2 apothem times perimeter, there is a formula that I have on my little note sheet here that makes it super easy. It's 3s squared root 3 all over 2. So in this case, because I know my s equals 19.6, area is going to be 3s squared root 3 over 2. I'm going to go back to my screen now, my document camera. So if I know the side length is 19.6, I'm just going to plug it in here for s. 3 times 19.6 squared root 3 over 2. It's just a calculator problem. 3 times 19.6 squared times root 3. Don't forget to close that parentheses so you're not dividing by 2 inside the square root. And then divide by 2. questions on this one? Okay, I'm going to go back to sharing my screen. In my case, 998.08. Okay. So how is this problem different than what we did for number 3 and 4? Where we did a right rectangular prism, then we did a cylinder, now we're doing a right hexagon-based prism. What's the only distinction here? What makes it different? Anyone? Your ruler? Okay. Here. So this is what I have. I have the side length of the base is 3.6, the height is 12.0, and I'm looking for the lateral area. Sophia, what were you asked to find? Lateral area, surface area, or volume?
Lateral area.
Okay. Brianna, what were you asked to find?
Surface area.
Okay. Kyla?
Lateral area.
Okay. So Sophia and Michaela and I got really easy ones because we don't have to find the area of the base. But Brianna, she's got to find the area of the base. But it starts the same way. So P equals, H equals, B equals, LA equals, SA equals, vol equals. And again, the lateral area is P times H, surface area is LA plus 2B, and volume is B times H. So, my base, it's all about the base. This is a hexagon with a side length of 3.6. So what do I do for my P? This is one side, and a hexagon has 6 of them. My P is just going to be 6 times whatever my side length is. In my case, will be 21.6. Let's leave that alone for a minute. My height was given to me as 12.0, and again, you'll have a different one. And really, for Sophia and Michaela, you don't even need to go any further, right? Because you could find the lateral area by just multiplying these two values. The real answer, what they're looking for is that. But let's go through the process anyway. Now I need to find the capital B. B stands for base, and what it really means is the area of this shape. So a lot of people would break it down by figuring out the area of one of these triangles and multiplying it by 6. But again, I gave you that nice formula. Area is 3s squared root 3 over 2. This time we've got an s of 3.6. So it'll be 3 times 3.6 squared root 3 all over 2. So figure out what that mess is on top. Three times 3.6 squared times root 3. Close that parentheses. Hit equals to get that chunk. And then divide by 2. And that goes up here. So if I were finding surface area, I would say 259.2 plus 2 of these. Which would give me 326.54. And if I were finding volume, I'd say, okay, B times H. So here's my B, here's my H. So I'd say 33.67 times 12. How's it feeling so far? 5. I can handle this. I'm actually learning as well as getting what I think are the right answers. 3, it's a little fast for me to actually learn it, but I am thinking I'm getting the right answers. 1, I'm writing some stuff down, but I have no idea if it has anything to do with geometry.
5.
Nice.
Can you just re-explain the surface area, like, equation for me one more time?
Sure. The idea behind the surface area equation is that if I'm looking at a prism and I want to find the lateral area or the surface area, both of them are areas, like how much you paint. But the lateral area is just the sides. Like if it were a house, you don't really paint the ceiling the same color as the walls, or the roof. You don't paint the roof, there's tiles on it or whatever. You don't paint the floor, that's underground. So it's just the lateral area is the sides. And then to get the surface area, you take whatever that lateral area was, and you add on the top and bottom. So 2 times the area of the base.
Okay.
Okay, so let's share screen again so I can get back to the test. My test. In my case, I was looking for lateral area, which was 259. It does say the 100, so even though I said 0.2, I'm going to go with 0.20, because that would be the hundredths. How is this problem different? It tells us that the base is a square and the altitude is 15.4. So I'm going to go back out so we can see what I'm drawing. And I do the same thing, but I'm going to do a little different. I'm going to say P equals, H equals, L equals, a slant height. B equals, and then I do lateral area, surface area, volume. Oops, I forgot what I was looking at. Forgot what it asked me for. Was it lateral area, surface area, or volume? It asked the volume for me, okay? So what are you guys looking for? Volume, surface area? Sophia, what do you have?
I have lateral area.
Okay, Brianna, what do you have?
I got volume.
Okay, Mikayla, what'd you get?
Lateral area.
Okay, so let's fill in our formulas here first, because now that we're changing this, this is not a prism, right? It's got a pointy top. It doesn't have a parallel congruent base. So instead of using these pencil ones I wrote in here, now we're using these purple ones. Whether it's a pyramid or a cone, it's all these formulas. So the lateral area is 1/2 P times L, which is that new dimension. And this time we're only adding on one base. It's the sides, the lateral area, plus just one base now, because there aren't 2 bases. And the volume would be 1/3 the size. So I'm going to write those in, 1/2 PL, lateral area plus 1 base, and 1/3 the base times the height. So all I need is these 4 letters, and I can fill in all these. So what is the P? Well, P is the perimeter of the base. So I look for the shape that's the base. In this case, it would be 5.5, and 5.5 makes 11. Another 5.5 and another 5.5, so it's 5.5 times 4, which in my case is 22.0. Whatever you were given is times 4 because this is a square base. The height was also given for me. Were any of you not given the height and instead you were given the slant height?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you're given the slant height, you're going to put your answer here, and your h is unknown. For me, my L is unknown. And what this means is I'm going to be drawing myself a little right triangle here. And this is the shape that I have to use with Pythagorean theorem to find the missing part. I'm going to draw it back out here so we can see a little bit better. Whatever our height is, goes here, 15.4. Down here, this part is half of our side. So in this case, that would be 2.75. And whatever's here is our L. It's our unknown, it's our hypotenuse. So take a minute to draw this little shape and fill in what you've got. If you're given a height, put it there. If you're given a side length, then cut it in half and put it there. If you're given a slant height, put it there. And this is a right triangle. So what do we use to find the missing sides in a right triangle? Pythagorean theorem, right? This is why we did the trig unit, so we could do this kind of stuff. So I'm going to choose my height length, 15.4 is A, squared, plus the half side is 2.75 squared, and I'm looking for my L squared. And I don't remember which one of you said that you were given a slant height, but you're going to have this value filled in. You're going to have to solve for this one. So in my case, I get 244.7225 equals L squared. And I'll square root both sides. I got 15.64. Just in terms of a reality check, is that in the ballpark? Which of my three sides should be biggest? You guys remember that the hypotenuse is always the largest side in a right triangle? So my L has to be my biggest one, and whichever one of you was given the L, you better make sure that your H comes out smaller than L, or you've made a mistake somewhere. Does everybody have their P, H, and L calculated? So the last pieces are B, which is the area of the base. And this time, since the base shape is a square, we know that it's the length times the width. So my side length was 5.5, and it's just that times itself. Okay, and then depending on what's being asked for, again, mine was asking for volume. So I'm going to come down here and go 1/3 times 30.25 times H, which is 15.4. So 30.5 times 15.4 divided by 3 is about 155.28. If you're asked for surface area, you're going to have to find this one first. 1/2 of 22.0 times 15.64. $72.0796, and then add on a base. Any questions on that? Okay, I'm going to share my screen so that I can enter my solution. I wanted the volume, so for me that's 155.28.
Mr. Irwin, I completed the test.
Okay.
Should I just finish attempt and
If you're confident and you don't want to listen to any more of this, yeah, you can complete the test and head on out of here. You're done.
thank you.
Do you want to submit? Actually, why don't you just submit it while I'm here, and make sure that you
Yeah.
got this to 70%?
Okay.
Because if not, you want to listen to these last 3 questions.
Okay. I got a 90%.
Really good job. Okay, have a good day. I'll talk to you on whatever it is, Tuesday or Wednesday.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye. All right, so the second problem is virtually the same problem, right? It's still a square-based pyramid, and it's just asking for something different. Last time I had volume, this time I've got surface area. Give myself the shape. My base side is 9.0, my altitude is 6.1. Surface area. Start with P equals, H equals, L equals, B equals, LA equals, SA equals, vol equals. And I'll start by putting these formulas in. 1/2 P times L. This will be lateral area plus 1 base. This will be 1/3 base times height. What did you guys get asked for? Surface area, volume, or lateral area?
Lateral area?
Okay. Brianna, what'd you get?
I'm on the cone one right now.
Okay, so you moved ahead because this was easy for you. Good.
Yeah. Hopefully I did well. I think I did it right.
Okay. So this is a square base, so my perimeter is going to be whatever one side is times 4. My height was given to me. So to find this missing part here, I need to do the Pythagorean theorem. 6.1, and then half of this base, which is that part. So 4.5, and I'm looking for L.
Mr. Irwin, I submitted it and I got an 80%.
Well done.
Yay.
Good job.
Thank you for the help.
You're welcome. Have a good night.
Bye. Bye.
Bye. So now, Mikhaila, be sure and tell me if I'm skipping something or if you need more time on something. It's all you now. In my case, I'm looking for the area of this base. It's a square, 9 by 9, so it's 9 times 9 is 81. That gives me all of my dimensions. I'm looking for surface area, so I'll start with lateral area and then plug it in here. So 1/2, 36 times 7.58. 36.44. And then this one is that 136.44 plus 1 base. And then volume would be this base base times 1/3 times the height. Did you get your answer, McCullough?
No.
Are you having trouble?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you want to, hold on, let me just enter my value here. Surface area. Do you want to share your screen?
Okay.
1 second, let me stop sharing mine. Okay, go ahead. Okay. So you're looking for lateral area, which is 1/2 P times L. So have you found your P?
Um.
What does the P stand for?
I don't know.
Good. And this is a square base, right? It says the shape below is a square base pyramid. So if the base side length is 14.4, how do you find the perimeter from that? And it might help to draw out a square.
I'm sorry, Mr. Allen.
It's all right. Are you having trouble doing the multiplication?
No.
What'd you get as your perimeter?
Um. I got 57.6.
Perfect. Okay. And what's our height, our h?
Is it?
Also known as 17, as the altitude, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I'm pulling back up my screen. So you've got your perimeter. You've got your height. To find the slant height, what we need is that little right triangle that's in the middle there. And you just did this with me with the trig, so I know you got this. If this part is 17.5, then we know that it's a square base that's around this thing. And this bottom leg is half of the side length. So if this whole side length is 14.4, then this part is 7.2. What we're looking for is that L. So how do I set that up?
Um.
give you a nudge. A squared.
plus b squared.
Yep. Good. So which one do I have to make my C in this picture?
L.
One of these sides has to be C. It has to be the longest one.
L.
Yeah. L is my C, so that's my unknown. So I could do like 7.2 squared plus 17.5 squared equals L squared. Use my calculator for that. So 358.09 is my L squared. I can just take the square root of both sides to find what L is. What'd you get?
Oh, I thought you were frozen.
Nope, just waiting for you. What's the square root of 358.09?
18.92.
Good. So that's our L here. And we could find the area of the base. Why not? It's just square. 14.4 times 14.4. That's a nice complete set of all those precursor numbers that we're looking for. But it turns out we don't really need it for this particular problem because you're looking for lateral area. Remember the formula for lateral area? Can you see it in your notes?
1/2 p times L.
1/2 P times L. So it'll be 1/2 whatever we wrote as our P, so it'll be 57.6 times what we just calculated as our L, 18.92. Should get about 544.90. Is that what you got?
Mm-hmm.
Great. Okay, why don't you share your screen with me again when you're ready, and we'll go to the next problem. Okay. So find the lateral area of the cone. Do you know the formula for the lateral area of a cone?
No.
It's the same one as for a pyramid, right?
Oh.
1/2 P times L. P stands for the perimeter, and this base is a circle. We use a different name for the perimeter circle. What do we call that? Sir?
Sorry, Mr. Erlen, what did you say?
Well, we're looking for the P, right? Because P, H, and B, or what P, H, L, and B are the pieces we're looking for. So I'm looking for the P. What's the perimeter of a circular base? We have a different name for that. What do we call the perimeter of a circle?
Circumference?
Good. So for this one, we're going to do 2 pi r, which would be 2 times pi times 9.7. figure that out in just a second. I see that the formula, or the slant height, is also given, which is 2.3. Oh, and look at that. Our lateral area, I'm going to take the screen away from you again. The lateral area formula says 1/2 P times L. And basically with the radius, they gave us the P, 2 pi times 9.7, and they explicitly gave us the L, so that's all we got to plug in. Let's figure out what this looks like approximately. 2 times pi times 9.7, 60.95. So I calculated my P by doing 2 pi r. I was given my L, and I just plugged those in to find the lateral area. When you're done, share your screen with me, please. Okay, good. So this is our ultimate shape in finding area and volume. It's a sphere, and there's only one measurement in a sphere. We have a radius. We don't need a P or an H or a B. The radius is 14.1. And then we've got LA equals, SA equals, vol equals. I'm going to steal the screen back from you. So here's a sphere. And the distinction between LA and SA is what? Lateral area is like the walls of the building, excluding the roof and the floor. Well, spheres don't have that distinction. They don't have a top and they don't have a bottom. So for our purposes, there is no lateral area for a sphere. You're never going to need to calculate that. But on that sheet that I gave you, that's also in Google Classroom, the formulas for spheres are right here. 4 pi r squared for the surface area, and 4/3 pi r cubed for the surface area, or for the volume. 4 pi r squared. So in this case, our r is 14.1. So 4 times pi times 14.1 squared. And then I'm just using my calculator for that. You should get about 2498.32. Tell me when you've got that answer, please.
Oh, I got that answer.
Great. And then for volume, well, wait, what were we looking for this problem? I forget. Is it volume or surface area?
Surface area.
Okay, so we're done. Go back to sharing your screen. Fill that answer in. Okay, hold on. Don't finish this yet, okay? Don't submit. Let's go back and look at 2, 3, 6, and 7. Looks like you haven't hit those yet. Okay, so prisms, as you've seen now in what problems we've done, they can have hexagon bases or triangle bases or square bases. And even really circle bases, a cylinder is effectively like a prism. It's not actually a prism. So in the red, blue, and green side, if any of those is not a rectangle, that has to be your base. So what color is not a rectangle?
Green.
Good, so that's your answer. The green face must be the base. Okay, go next. All right, so we're gonna have to do the work here. So let's, on your sheet of paper, right? P equals, H equals, and B equals. And then below that, LA equals, SA equals, vol equals. In this case, what are they asking us to find?
Lateral area.
Good. And do you remember the lateral area formula for a prism? I know you missed the instruction when we went through this, but what I described a visual of it is if you take a prism, you were to wrap like a ribbon, see how there's like a little red stripe on the bottom of this? And if you think about it as like a ribbon just going along the base of the bottom, right? If there's a red stripe all along here and you figure out what it is all the way around the outside, and then multiply it times the height, you're effectively wrapping the sides in that ribbon. And you can then envision the lateral areas based on that. So it's just the perimeter of the base times the height. So LA is P times H. So in your problem, how do we find the perimeter? And I don't see the numbers, so you're gonna have to tell me.
I have to do 5.9 times 5.9.
What was 5.9? Tell me the three dimensions they give you. They give you a length, a width.
5.9 as length, 5.9 as width, and 3.8 as height.
Oh, interesting. You ended up with a square base instead of a rectangle base. That's just a random coincidence. But perimeter means the distance around the outside. So you're going to say 5.9 plus another 5.9 plus another plus another. So the perimeter is going to be 4 times 5.9. So 23.6. And what's the height?
3.8.
3.8, right? And so the lateral area is just those two numbers multiplied together. And when you get that answer, please share your screen with me again. Let's enter that in. Okay. You think you can walk me through solving this one?
No.
Can you give it a try? So 2.1 and 2.4. Okay. How do we start?
With
What letters do we write down first?
P, H, and B.
Yep. What does the P stand for?
Perimeter.
Good. So it tells us what the base is here. It's an equilateral triangle with side length of 2.1. So what's the perimeter of that?
It's this times 4.
Are there 4 sides in an equilateral triangle or just
Oh
3?
no, there. Sorry, not 4.
Yeah.
3.
Times 3. So 2.1 times 3 is how much?
6.3.
Yep. So that's your P. What's your H?
2.4.
Yep. Now, finding the B is actually kind of challenging for an equilateral triangle, isn't it? Because I'd need to find my base and my height. I know my base is 2.1, but my height is unknown. But you know what? We don't need that because we're looking for the lateral area. What's our formula for lateral area?
1/2. Or no, is it? It's P times H.
It's P times H. We've already got P and H. So just multiply those together and what do you get?
15.12.
Yep, that's your answer. Okay, you got this one too because it's giving you the right information. So what do we write out?
PHB.
P, H, and because this is a pyramid, we also do L
Oh,
and B. Okay. So what's our P?
14.4 times 4.
Good. 16.4 times 4.
My bad. 16.4.
I knew what you meant. Do we know our H?
It's 18.8.
No, that's our L, isn't it? The slant type, that L.
Right.
So put that in for that and leave the H blank for a second. And let's leave the B blank for a second. What are we being asked to find here? Lateral area, surface area, volume?
Lateral area.
Good. So let's write that out as a formula. LA is equal to what?
He's too disrespectful.
Sorry, Mr. Erling, can you repeat that?
Sure. We're looking for lateral area, right?
Yeah.
So let's be strategic. Let's only find out the formula for lateral area because maybe we've already got the pieces we need.
Okay.
What's the formula for lateral area of a pyramid?
It's 1/2 times P times H.
Almost. 1/2 P times
Oh, L?
L, which we've already got. So just multiply that out.
Is it 616.64?
Yep. Enter that bad boy in. Oh, you're done.
What?
What you do next just to lock in that answer? And then go to finish attempt. All the way at the bottom it says submit and finish, I think. Submit all and finish. %. That's what we need. Good job. Okay, so the piece we're missing is circles, right?
Mhm.
So I've got some other stuff to do tonight, but do you think we could maybe do this again tomorrow and get through circles?
Mhm.
What time is good for you?
Tomorrow's Monday. Anytime tomorrow.